Coming up, alcohol is finally making its way into the Disneyland park for day guests, and we say goodbye to Bugs Land at Disney California Adventure. From the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida, and points around Southern California, this is the Disneyland edition of the DIS Unplugged. This is episode 743 of the Disneyland edition of the DIS Unplugged for the week of September 10th, 2018. The DIS Unplugged is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect vacation. Visit them on the web at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Hello, everybody. I am your host this week for the Disneyland edition of the DIS Unplugged. I am Rhino Clavin, as you may or may not know. Welcome. Pete is he's in England right now as of the airing of this episode, and he's about to begin an Adventures by Disney, so that should be fun for him. We are here holding down the fort for him in the meanwhile, and to help me do that, this week I've got Craig Williams in the back.
Hello.
And then from California, we've got Tyler and Katrina. Oh, I guess I should say your full names. Tyler Crouch, Katrina Manzoni, or do I have to do it with the full-on accent?
That's my
gimmick.
Sure,
you can do it with an accent.
Well, Craig, could you introduce Katrina for us?
It's Katrina Manzoni.
There we go. Yes. We have Craig as our resident translator here. And then, of course, we have the lovely Nancy Johnson visiting us as well.
Hey, everybody. Good to be back.
Good to see you, Nancy. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. I hope everybody has had a good week.
You.
We're just going to dive right into it. I already said in the intro, we're going to be talking about some info that got released by Disney Parks blog about the Star Wars Cantina that we kind of already knew. We're going to say goodbye to Bugs Land. We're going to do our what we're most excited about in the land this week. But before we get started with that, this version of the Disneyland edition of the DIS Unplugged is geared toward people traveling to Disneyland more than locals, I would say. And as part of that, I just wanted to bring to some folks' attention that there are some deals going on right now as far as like hotel packages and whatnot. You can find all this information at www.info.com. Of course, you can visit dreamsunlimitedtravel.com to get a no obligation quote from an agent today. But there's a couple different packages that have been going on but are still going on, and I just saw them. But there's you can book a 2-night package at a Good Neighbor Hotel starting at $919. That includes 2 adults and 1 child ages 3 to 9. That will include a 1 park per day, 2-day ticket there for each one of those guests in the party. There's get a 4th night free at a Good Neighbor Hotel when you book a 3-night package at a bunch of them. There's Anaheim Marriott, Best Western Plus. There's the Clarion Hotel, Castle Inn and Suites. There's a whole list on here. And then there's currently a room-only discount as well where you can save up to 30% at a Disneyland Resort hotel. And all those are ending at various times. So rather than get into it too much, I just saw them in there and I thought I would direct people's attention. So if anybody wants to get out there to check out some Halloween time decorations that will have been started by the time this episode airs on September 7th out there, this could be a deal for you. So I know Craig and I very last minute every year kind of plan a quick getaway out there, or we did last year, and then I did the year before and the year before that. So I always think I'm not going, and then I do. But anyway.
Hey,
yes.
I know I have to correct you.
Okay, what was it, Nancy?
Because it's not that it's directed for people traveling too, but every single local knows people who don't get a chance to go to the park a lot, who are looking for things to celebrate. So why not include them in the whole
good point, Nancy. That's a good point. I appreciate that.
There we go.
Yeah, good point. Everyone, and that's unfair to me too, because Tyler and Katrina stay there all the time too.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, that is right. Yes.
That is right.
Anyway, well, let's get away from that because that's not super interesting. I mean, it could be interesting if you're traveling. It's not interesting for me, though. I'm just being honest here on this show. And I want to move into what we're most excited about in the land this week. And to kick us off, Craig, you go first.
Today is September 10th, so if you were planning on going and eating Tangaroa Terrace, unfortunately you are out of luck. It is now closed because it is going through a refurbishment, and there was a lot of speculation on what was going to happen with this refurbishment because just no one quite knew. Some people were even arguing about whether or not it was going to happen at all. But luckily for us, Disney Parks blog came to the rescue as they always do and gave us extra details on it. So Tangaroa Terrace is closed because it will reopen mid-January in 2019 as the Tangaroa Terrace Bar and Grill. So the restaurant's 50s tiki-inspired design will remain as the perfect tropical complement to the mid-century modern architecture of the Disneyland Hotel, but guests can expect a new outdoor bar and refreshed patio serving island cocktails and Asian-inspired fare. New details will also be added to the interior space, including light fixtures made out of colorful fishing floats and netting, a tropical mural, and bamboo accents. Guests will also be delighted to find a dedicated service window for various coffee selections in the morning and the popular Dole Whip throughout the day, perfect while enjoying time at the pools. The grill offers options for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with an open-air marketplace for quick bites, and while Tangaroa Terrace is under refurbishment, select menu offerings will be available at the Coffee House, Trader Sam's, and Steakhouse 55, according to this. But that's just that bit. And they went even further and also announced, put in this announcement that Whitewater Snacks will also close soon, reopen later this year with a fresh new look. Hearthstone will be the place to go for grab-and-go options at that point. But guests of the Grand Californian will also be able to lounge in an even more luxury poolside with a new pool bar opening in spring of 2019. They attached some artwork to that, which I'm sure is showing right now.
So the pool is going under construction yet again. Yeah.
For the 19th time since the first time I visited, it's going under construction again. So the pool bar area will just fit in with the exact same design as every other aspect of the hotel. But if it looks anything like the concept art, it will look swanky.
It looks real nice.
Get out. So I'm excited about all of this announcement there. So I'm really, really excited to see what Tangaroa Terrace comes back. And, it's very interesting putting that bar as the first word before the grill. So that's a big deal.
Well, the thing is right now Trader Sam's gives all the drinks to the pool. And that's one of the things that really backs up Trader Sam's is that on a regular basis they're making pool drinks. So it's really a good idea to finally give the pool its own bar, take some weight off of the Trader Sam's guys.
Tangaroa Terrace right now did not serve alcohol, like mixed drinks, more than just like, I think you could get like beer, right? Or no?
Just beer, I think, like
in a can.
Grab and go.
Yeah, so that's interesting, and that there's that outdoor bar that you were talking about that you think that was the rumor going around there. So I mean that sounds really cool to me.
Oh, I would think about from our point, like we have at Wilderness Lodge, we have Geyser Point Bar and Grill. Mm-hmm. So if it would be great. I know it's probably not going to steal any sort of the same concept, but open air, relaxing, kind of like the outdoor seating they already have out in that area, but maybe expanded in a way more a little bit. I've always thought Tangaroa had creative menu items, maybe getting a little extra creative with it too, but adding in more fun drinks.
Well, you brought up Geyser Point, which is a pretty interesting thing that almost maybe that's kind of where Whitewater Snacks is going with, because they're, Wilderness Lodge and Grand Californian is the same original designer and stuff. But they only had the concept art for Whitewater Snacks. That looks awesome. That to me looks like the hotel and the pool, and like it's kind of all coming together a little bit more united, I guess. But yeah, I'm excited for that.
No, I'm canceling every vacation I had planned until Tangaroa Terrace opens back up. But that's it has to be done. I can no longer deal with places not being open when I want a vacation.
Yeah. Well,
Trader Sam's will be open.
It's not good enough. Not for me.
Not good enough. All right.
Tyler, you go next. What's your thing you're most excited about in the land this week?
Okay, so everybody knows about mobile ordering. That's something that happens at Disney World and Disneyland, and for me, I think it's fantastic. It is always my preferable way to go and order food through the mobile ordering, especially at Disneyland because it's easy to order, allergy food as well in a lot of cases. But they're actually adding mobile ordering to 7 new locations at the Disneyland Resort, and I'm pretty excited about them actually. I think one of the most interesting ones is Bayside Breeze, which is at California Adventure, because this is going to be they mostly, obviously by the name, they mostly just do drinks. I mean, they mostly just have beers.
Where
they
is
have
that
one
located?
margarita.
In California
It's across from the Paradise Garden Grill. So it's like right
Next to the
under.
swings.
Oh, okay. Where
right under
people
the
have been,
swings.
it's been popular for the micheladas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have those too, exactly. So
Okay.
I think that's really interesting that, you can get, a lot of people know that the Karl Strauss little truck gets a long line sometimes, things like that. You can just now mobile order a couple of those Karl Strauss beers
Really?
and head on over there, and they have them ready for you. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Now over at Disneyland, they're going to have the Harbor Galley, and they're going to also have the Tiki Juice Bar, which is the place where you can get your pineapple Dole Whips. So, that's another great thing. You don't have to wait in the long line to get your pineapple whip anymore. While I'm talking about the juice bar, it is important to note that Tiki Room is actually closed right now, and they were going to reopen on September 21st, but they've actually had to push it back a little bit, and now it's going to be opening on October 3rd. So if you want to go see the Tiki Room, you're going to have to wait till October 3rd for that stuff. And then the last remaining ones are Edelweiss Snacks, which is where you can get your turkey legs and your corn on the cob, your chimichangas. It's right across from the Matterhorn. State Shore Cafe, they've got the chicken tenders and things like that. That's right next to the Golden Horseshoe. And then Refreshment Corner, which a lot of people call Coke Corner, but it is called Refreshment Corner. It's right there with the piano, the old ragtime piano. You can get your hot dogs, your chili, things like that. And the Royal Street Veranda, which is, of course, the world famous bread bowls with the gumbo, and they have a seasonal soup and things like that. So I'm really excited for a lot of these locations. I think the Tiki Juice Bar and Bayside Breeze are kind of the most interesting because it'll hopefully we get a much lower line from the Tiki Juice Bar because
Yeah, it's crazy. It blocks up that
Yeah.
Adventureland entrance. Like, it gets a little
Yeah.
hard when there's people coming through with scooters and strollers because it's a little, like, it's right there in that queue and it kind of winds around sometimes. But
Exactly. And I think the part that takes the longest when people are ordering is the actual ordering process and the paying and getting the money back and all that stuff is the part that takes the longest. So if you can do that on your phone and then walk right up and grab your Dole Whip, it's going to make it
I'd be
much better.
curious to see how many of those locations, like some of them you named, I feel like sometimes have secret menu items. And I'm wondering if those are like going to show up in the mobile ordering app or not.
No, I don't think they will. I think
Probably
maybe if
not.
they have if they have like a special or something like all the Halloween food that's coming up, I would assume that they're gonna have those specials and things. But if it's like a secret item, I don't think so. So
The one thing
But yeah.
I would throw in for the Disneylanders, because we somewhat have this problem here in Walt Disney World, because we can already use mobile order with our Dole Whips. The issue isn't so much like that it slows down or anything by using mobile ordering. The main issue that comes into play is then everyone who's put in a mobile order thinks that they need to crowd right around the general area. And I know that you already have that there, but with Dole Whips and stuff, it's ice cream. It's not like the food where they can sit it under a heat lamp for a couple minutes. It's ice cream, so it's going to start melting immediately. So you kind of have to play a little bit different strategy with it. And I've had at least one time where my Dole Whip, I couldn't get to it because too many people were crowding, and it did melt a little bit. So I asked for a fresh one. So don't be afraid to do that either.
Yeah, you got to get that
you
Instagram
paid for
photo.
it. You deserve the best quality you can get.
I agree. I think it's interesting too that I guess I'd never thought about before because I've never used mobile ordering to order alcohol. I just never thought. I mean, I'm sure that's part of ours here, but
There's that whole carding thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Carding
kind
thing.
of feels
I'm sure
like
they're
a
gonna have to
cheat.
check your ID
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll probably have to
before
do
you
that.
grab it.
I don't think that I could be wrong about this, but I don't remember alcohol being available through mobile ordering before. So it's not. Maybe I'm not 100% right on that, but I just don't.
I've never
remember
done it because
so.
I never want my beer to be like sitting there or getting warm or anything like that. I guess so. I don't know. I've only used it. I only use mobile ordering when I walk up and I'm like, no, this line is too long. I'm not. I don't plan ahead that much. My belly tells me where to go. Well, thank you, Tyler. While we're over there, Katrina, do you want to tell us what you're most excited about this week?
Showa. All right. Sorry, Tyler. I'm going to probably hit you in the face with my elbow.
Just
Sorry.
clock
I
him
don't
with
know how
that
to do it.
mug.
All right. So I'm going to do my mugs as
Yeah.
usual. So this mug has two sides. On the first side, it's a haunted mansion themed with the hitchhiking ghost, but instead of ghosts, it's Mr. Potato Head Woody and the green alien, and it says, "Beware, a toy will follow you home." And there's a lot of details on the back, so make sure you take a look. And then on the other side is a classic scene from the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, and it's the jail scene. And on top it says, "Toys tell no tales." And then on the bottom is Buzz Lightyear, Woody, and Potato Head, the green alien, as the pirates trying to lure Slinky Dog so they can grab the keys from him. And on the bottom are building blocks that say Yo-Ho, which I thought were really cute. And then the handle, it just says Pixar, and then it has the famous ball on the side, but it looks like they're made out of building blocks. So all in all, this mug is adorable, and it costs $16.99, and you can find it. I think they have it at Disney World. I know they have it at Disneyland, but definitely get this. I thought that was cute.
I like the mug. I saw it when I was out there a couple weeks ago, and my friend actually bought that one. But my thing with that mug is like, why didn't you make it two separate mugs? Like, why?
Yeah.
And it's weird because it's like, why the Toy Story character? Like, I don't mind the crossover stuff like that. That's cool with me. There's one of those where I'm just like, who was like, we'll put them both on one? Like, why were they just testing the water? Why not just have one?
Well, I'm curious if they had some designer just make some awesome art, and they were like, "We got to put that on something."
Yeah.
Like, I don't, it could have been something like that.
I wish they made a series. That'd be fun, like how they did the afternoon mugs, the Disney afternoon mugs with like Darkwing Duck and Tailspin. I wish
Yeah.
they did that for like Pixar. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, I think that would be cute to do like a series of like that kind of crossover thing, like, celebrating Toy Story Land being open at Disney's Hollywood Studios at Walt Disney World.
I almost think that's part of what inspired it, is that they were probably working on a marketing push at some point where it was going to be Toy Story characters taking over
Yeah.
Disney now, and then they probably backed off. But like, okay, well, we'll still
Might as well
still
release the
sell
mug.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. All right. Well, thank you, Katrina.
You're welcome.
Nancy, do you want to talk about yours, which I'm also pretty excited about?
I know. Well, we were in DCA over the weekend, and we decided to cruise around, look at all the Halloween decorations, because, they're really, really underrated. Most people just walk past on Buena Vista Street. All the Halloween decorations, especially like the ones in the backgrounds of the windows, they turn around and they take them and put actual like 1920s like vintage style like little pumpkins,
Yeah.
and ball decorations, paper masks for when, let's face it, we're the first generation, or at least I'm the first generation of you guys that had plastic face masks. When we were kids, everything was a plastic face mask. Well, these were all little paper things that just cover your eyes. And then they take the Elias and Company windows and they put moving black and white from the early Silly Symphonies and stuff. They have a skeleton dance window. They have, what was the short where Goofy, Mickey, and Donald were ghost hunters?
Lonesome Ghost.
They have another.
Bonesome?
Yes.
Lonesome.
Oh, Lonesome Ghosts.
So they have a couple as just stationary windows, but they have two as moving windows, which is kind of fun.
I saw a thing on Twitter that was really funny because they're putting the Oogie Boogie sign up outside of Hollywood Studios, Disney California Adventure, and somebody was like, the tortilla has risen because the moon behind him looks like a tortilla.
Yes.
And I was like, that's hilarious.
I saw somebody
And that
Photoshop the Mr. Potato. Remember in Toy Story 3 when Mr. Potato Head was a tortilla?
Yeah.
I saw somebody Photoshop all of the different, eyes and the nose and stuff onto it too. So that was pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Well, what else, Nancy? What else did you see?
They hadn't had that up quite fully yet. They hadn't had the Horseman up as of last weekend.
Oh, really? Okay.
The big Horseman statue goes. I took a picture of that all blank. The little trees are there, but not the Horseman yet. They even go as far as redecorating Big Rock Candy Mountain in the window of Trolley Treats. If you're familiar, Big Rock Candy Mountain is a replica of a proposed ride that Walt had. It was a train that went through the Candy Mountain, kind of akin to the Matterhorn, but not quite. And they replace all the trees with like little pumpkin lollipops, and they have a candy corn field of corn off of one side, and they put a haunted house in it, and it's really neat little decor and details. So Main Street is great. Then Cars Land, you've got the giant cornucopia, which is a very, very, very large, like, Model T kind of horn, the kind that has the big bulb on the end, and okay, I'm doing that hand thing again. And out of it comes like little fruit, vegetables, packages.
They kind of left that up all year this year, didn't they?
Yeah, they've been leaving it up ever since last Halloween. But they do. Yeah, they have. But they have added. They have taken out like the pumpkin shaped or like the jack-o'-lantern shaped like gas cans and stuff like that, and replaced it with a few other things. But yeah, it's been there for over a year now.
Well, it's Halloweenish. We never get back there, so we don't notice.
Did they have the faces up on the cones yet?
Yes. Some of the pumpkins the oil can pumpkins are out. Some of the pumpkin. Oh God, I'm freezing. That's bad. Sorry. It's not all done yet. Yeah. It's definitely not all done yet. But there's definitely a lot to enjoy right now. I mean, I'm sure it'll be done probably by the end of now.
Well, by Friday, I hope.
Yeah, it needs to be up by Friday.
By last Friday, it better be done by the time you're seeing this episode. Otherwise, something happened. So.
But the other interesting thing that goes along with the Halloween decor is, of course, every store has their Halloween merchandise kiosk. You guys talked about food last week. Well, the merchandise seems to be fully out right now. I'm wondering if those shirts aren't shared with Florida.
I saw
the designs look really generic.
Yeah, I saw the one that was like all gray, like a night sky, and then in the bottom it had, I want to say like Mickey was with Pluto or something, and they were like walking down a street, and I thought the shirt was awesome, like really awesome design. The quality of the material was terrible, but I thought it said Disneyland on it. But I saw somebody wearing it, and they could have gone to Disneyland, but I saw somebody wearing it at Food and Wine the other day.
Well, how do I want to put it? There's one that's blank, like that one didn't have Disneyland on it, but there's another one that you can obviously see where they would take and put Disneyland versus Walt Disney World. So
they did
you
that
can
last
see.
year.
Yeah.
I think it's a real big cop-out.
Yeah.
Frankly.
I think that they actually do have a lot of shirts this year, though. I feel like more than they usually do. Maybe that's just me, but I feel
there were about 6.
I've seen more than 6. Not
including the kids one.
I've seen more than 6. I have pictures of a lot of them up on Twitter. That there's definitely a lot. I mean, at least like 10 or 12 shirts this year, which is like, to me, I feel like it's more than they've done in the past. So maybe, I mean, you could be right that they're just kind of doing a lot of designs and putting them into Disney World and Disneyland. But I don't know. I haven't been to Disney World since I've started selling them. So.
And this year's ears are cute. They've got, instead of the mini bow, they have candy corn kind of pointing out.
Oh yeah, I saw those. That was cute. Yeah.
So those were cute, and of course they've got the light up laser ones, or not laser, but fiber optic ones. They've got
There's a baseball
What?
hat
Oh,
too. There was a
Yes.
like a Mickey. It was like pumpkin, but it was the ears, and it's like an orange baseball hat with his face on. I almost got that, but I think it's for kids, or at least not people with giant heads like myself.
Well, if you've got a small head, you're good.
Yeah. They have Jack and Sally. I saw the Jack and Sally
Yes.
ears. They're starting to do those now too.
Those were really cute, actually. I really like the Sally ears. I saw an Yzma interchangeable bow for. So if you're into the villains in the Mickey interchangeable bows, they actually have an Yzma bow clip now, and it's got the little swirly curly thing up at the top. It took us a minute to figure out who it was, but once we did,
That's
it
cool.
was like, oh my god, how obscure.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that they kind of dig into they realize that people now like all that stuff. It doesn't have to be a multi-billion-dollar movie for people to enjoy it and stuff.
Yep. Sometimes I
Other
think
merch-
Go ahead, Nancy.
Oh no, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say sometimes I think that they focus so much time on the big giant characters, and really the Disney fans just want the kind of smaller things, the stuff that you don't get to see that often. People kind of freak out more when it's something that they like, when it's a rare character than when it's all these characters that you see on a regular basis. So
Right. Yeah.
I agree.
As somebody who worked for the Disney stores in the mid-90s for a few years, I can tell you right now that's a way to get the guest dollar. Because the more obscure stuff you put out and the more obscure reference characters, people are going to see that. They're going to flock to it. Just put them out in small quantities. You don't have to overproduce. But it's a really good way to get people to just throw their money at you.
Speaking of that, really quick, and then we are going to move on to another thing. Does anybody know, is that Splash Mountain Pop Vinyl completely sold out, or did they bring them back?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I'm not
haven't seen
100%
anything
sure.
on social media about it being back.
Yeah.
Okay. I know it's sold out here.
We did end up getting one, so we were pretty lucky. It was really interesting, actually, when they sold them. They were saying, oh, they're in the Disneyland park, they're at Pooh's Corner, and they're at Disneyana. And so we were like, oh, that's weird. They're not doing it at Wonderground, which is in downtown Disney. And then, so we're walking by Wonderground, and there's like a pretty small line outside, actually. And so we ended up just getting it, 15-minute wait. It was not that big of a deal. So
Nice.
we were lucky.
Do you want to know how much I waited for mine?
How
Yeah,
long?
I do, yeah.
I waited 30 seconds.
Did you buy it? Did
Ooh.
you do the thing you said you were going to do? You waited till the next day, or what?
I didn't wait till the next day, but people freak out about these Funkos now so much that they go first thing and they get in a hour,
I
2
saw
hour
4
long
a.m.
line.
people lined
Like
up.
they get just overly ridiculous. So I just went at I think ours opened at 10:30 at Disney Springs
Disney
at our
Springs,
Penn
yeah.
Trader store. I showed up at like 12:15 and there was one person there and they walked up as soon as I got behind them. And then I was at the register. I was in and out in 2 minutes. It took me longer to walk from the parking garage
Nice.
to get to
Oh
the
my
store and back
God.
than it did to actually buy the thing.
Yeah.
So
I waited too long, though. I missed it.
I
I
think
wanted one,
people-
but whatever.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rhino.
It's all good.
I think people freak out about it because it's like they don't tell people what is going to be remade and what's going to be there forever. So, like, for example, the Abominable Snowman that came out, that one was gone that day, and it never came back.
And the
But then-
Hatbox Ghost.
and the Hatbox Ghost as well. But then, like, they did like Figment, and I remember waiting in a big line to get the Figment one over in Epcot. And then last time we just went back, they still had a bunch of them, and I'm like, wow.
yeah, I
so
think Orange
you
Bird
never
was
know
the
what they're
same
going to keep
thing.
making.
yeah, I think they're all
Once again,
going to be limited
overproducing.
now. Yeah, they're all going to be limited now. But the thing is, don't expect them to be gone like in an instant.
Right.
Make sure you're there either that day or the day after with these Funkos, which this is timely because the next one is supposed to be coming out in just like another week from now. The Doom Buggy one. So
The 22nd?
What's
yes.
what's the
I thought-
Doom Buggy
okay.
one? Who's in that?
It's
People
going
are gonna
to
lose their minds.
yeah.
It's what? I didn't hear you.
It's going
just
to
said
have
people are
one.
losing.
Sorry, Tyler and I just keep talking over each
Craig,
other.
tell me.
Sorry.
It is it's a Doom Buggy Funko, and I want to say it's the Ezra Ghost. I always get their names mixed up. But
The piano player in the
no, one of the hitchhiking.
Oh,
ghosts.
the hitchhiking
Yes.
ghost. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So they're kind of bringing him back, but doing like one of the scenes, like the
Cool.
Splash Mountain one is a scene. It's not like a Funko, like, you know what I mean? Like, you've seen those, right? They started making like movie scenes and stuff like that, where like it's Georgie from It looking into the sewer. So they're not in like regular Funko positions. They're like in a scene. So I would say Riding a Ride is part of the scene series, but I don't know.
I guess you're getting a little metaphysical for me on this.
That's if I was talking about our pop finals that coming to life.
To me, it's a character that's from the attraction riding the attraction.
Okay.
And that's probably like it started with the Indiana Jones with Indiana Jones riding.
Oh, that's
the
true.
Jeep
Yeah, I forgot
from
about the
that.
Jeep.
Now Splash Mountain with Brer Bear and Brer Rabbit, and there's Haunted Mansion.
I've got the
cetera.
Indiana Jones not riding the Jeep. Somebody sent that to me, which was very thoughtful of them. But anyway, well, thank you, Nancy. We're going to move on to the next thing here, and that's mine. And we're just going to talk about this one real briefly because we've kind of talked about it repeatedly on the show, and that is Disney has shared some information on the Cantina coming to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and it goes for both Disneyland and Walt Disney World. So let me see. It's going to be called Oga's Cantina, which will welcome pilots, bounty hunters, smugglers, locals, and galactic travelers alike and serve the best drinks in the galaxy. Visitors come to this notorious local watering hole to unwind, conduct shady business, and maybe even encounter a friend or a foe. I mean, I don't read these as good as Craig does, but run by an intriguing alien proprietor, Oga Gara, the Cantina adheres to a strict code of conduct that tries to keep its unruly patrons in check, but with a history of being a smuggler's safe haven and a popular stopping point for those seeking to avoid the authorities, you can bet that the Cantina has a story or two to tell. And we did know from D23 that Rex, the former pilot of Star Tours, would be the DJ for this area. So that's a cute little like tie-in. But menu items in the Cantina are going to be made with exotic ingredients using otherworldly methods and served in unique vessels, which to me says collectible mugs, which I'm excited about. And it pretty much was so in the press release it said with choice for kids and libations for adults, the Cantina will be a great stop. And the Orange County Registrar did confirm that that alcohol would be served. The spokeswoman Liz Jager from Disney said, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge will be a completely immersive, true-to-story experience. Given our commitment to offering fans an immersive Cantina experience, we felt that this was an opportunity to offer alcohol and non-alcohol-based beverages in the context of the story. Now, for me, I just want to talk about the feelings on it again real quick. I feel like it is within theme of the Cantina. I think it would have been weird if it was just Bantha milk, but on that same front, I don't think the Disneyland one and the Walt Disney World one have to be identical copies. So if the Cantina and Disneyland chose not to serve alcohol, it would not have ruined the experience for me. So right. I am one of those people where I'm a little indifferent to it. I do think that, you know, Walt Disney did say not to serve alcohol because he thought it would be, you know, it equate it to like a carnival or you know, whatever. And it attracted like kind of unruly attitudes. However, the man drank quite a bit himself and did establish an area for exclusivity with drinking within the park. But I understand that train of thought, and I understand not breaking tradition too and trying to keep one space just kind of clean. So I am not somebody who'd be out there lobbying for alcohol in the park, and I'm not somebody who's going to be out there being like picketing it to get rid of it, I guess. But what do you think?
I was just going to say the one thing I don't like about the Club 33 argument is that, you know, that was going to be used as a way for Walt to like show investors and dignitaries, important people in there. That was going to be kind of a place for business to happen inside the park. So yeah. So even though it is what it is now, like the fact that like I don't consider that to be inside the park the same way I don't consider 21 Royal to be inside the
That's
park.
fair enough.
In that sense, the same way Walt's apartment, that's a different limits to the park. So those areas
it's not
would
open
be,
for everybody.
Yeah, those areas would be grayed out in a map for me. We can see them from there, but we don't have access to them. I'm sorry for saying it like that. We don't have access to them, so they play by different rules.
Understandable.
So that's my look on it.
Yeah.
So
and they have a strict rule policy in place at both at these locations that you spoke of too as well. So it is like you are monitored as an individual person there. Whereas in the Cantina, it's kind of like it's all day guests. So it's anybody. I hate that expression, day guests. It's all guests in the park. I know. I wrote it down. Somebody on this show says that a lot, and I'm like, they become nighttime guests when the sun sets. But anyway, it's for all guests of the park. So it becomes a public location. And, I'm sure there's going to be rules in place too. Like they're not going to be able to leave the Cantina with the drink. They're going to be monitored with IDs, obviously, and there could even be a thing where I know at Universal Hollywood, they do a 2-drink minimum during Halloween Horror Nights. This last year was the first time in years. Two max. I'm sorry, max. Yeah, not minimum. How dare you come in here and only drink 2 beers? But it was only beer, so it wasn't hard liquor, and it was they put like the X's on your hands so they know you've had the 2, and or maybe it was even the invisible X. I don't know, but regardless, it's kind of like. I think it will be quarantined to that area of the park, but I can understand people being like, give us a space. But, we're an ever-evolving society, too, so I don't know.
Well,
what do you guys think?
Do you think that you would want to actually hang out in a cantina if there was no alcohol there?
No, but at the same time, like I do go to the Mint Julep bar. And I get a thing. I know that's just a window serve up.
You get your mint julep and you kind of.
But I think about like the Golden Horseshoe or something like that. You can get like the root beer float or something like that, and like so. I don't want to hang out in a cantina. I mean, it depends. It's Star Wars. There's could be really interesting drinks. Like look at how many non-alcoholic drinks are at the Lamplight Lounge right now, like there's a lot. Like I can see somebody who doesn't drink or a kid being like, yeah, I want to stay here and have these.
And we're giving Disney a little bit too much creativity on behalf of their drinks. If they're not completely unique and really, really interesting, then what is the point of having them inside this cantina at all? If the main ingredient in 9 of them are going to be sweet and sour mix, blue curacao, and some type of juice, like that already is at every other frickin' place around any Disney park, then what's the point of starting to break these? So if they do get super creative, maybe I can give it slightly a pass, but if it's just your same crappy mixed drinks from all these other places that serve these mixed drinks, just with a Star Wars name attached to it and a unique vessel, then that's just lazy, and that's wrong.
What do you think, Nancy? You've got younger kids. Let me know what you think about that.
Well, I think there's going to be a mix of responses. Like, okay. As far as having kids in a family environment, we wouldn't necessarily have those drinks, but that's just our family. I would prefer to do the non-alcoholics. However, if I was there with Ian, I'm so torn on this. I totally agree with Craig on the Club 33 argument because let's face it, when Club 33 was founded in the 50s, discretion was the better part of valor. So if you're drinking up in this club, you don't talk about it when you go down into the park with your family. Mm-hmm. Here, you're going to get people who are clustering in one spot. Now, if we think of this cantina as going to be something Trader Sam's-ish on that same vein, you're looking at bits and pieces of entertainment. I think one of the big things we're forgetting about is those interactive actors that are supposed to be taking place and coming in and doing a scene somewhere, or starting stuff with the guests, being interrogated and things like that. We see with the stormtroopers now. So if you see that on a higher level, there may be more reason to sit in a cantina because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Unless they have a set show schedule. So I can see people going there just for the cantina to sit and have drinks while you're, waiting for something interesting to happen. You wouldn't be doing that with kids. Kids are going to drag you wherever you're going to go. And they're going to be more of your driving force of how you're touring the Star Wars land.
Well, my thing is, yeah. Go on, sorry.
One of the big things on if they make any changes to how much alcohol or the alcohol rules is going to be how guests are going to start responding with some of these interactive actors. If you get the Tarzan situation, as most of you know, Tarzan got moved out of the park because women kept grabbing his butt and things like that. And same with Esmeralda. Those were reasons those characters, disappeared from the friends list.
Was that alcohol, though? I don't know if we can blame
No, that wasn't alcohol, but add alcohol onto
that sort of attitude,
already set behavior pattern.
Tyler, Katrina, do you have anything to say about the alcohol in the park?
I think as long as it's done in good taste, I feel like I will be okay with it. But I just don't want people to ruin it because I feel like this is going to be a new thing for Disneyland. I mean, they have it at, DCA, at Disney California Adventure, but now it's at Disneyland. People might go like crazy and be like, oh my gosh, we get to drink, and they might ruin it. But I'm praying to God like they're not going to. And as long I feel like they're going to do I don't know if they're going to do mixed drinks, like mixing it right in front of you. I feel like it's going to be pre-made how they used to do it in DCA for the Mad Tea Party, how it was pre-mixed and they can control their alcohol content and make it super sugary and watered down.
Well, I don't know if they're going to do pre-made, but the thing that I'm thinking is that for me, the Lamplight Lounge drinks are not very good, honestly. I think they're all very sugary because they knew that people go and get drunk there. So I think they kind of stepped back on the alcohol in that location. And I think that a lot of these Star Wars drinks are going to be very sweet as well. So, I don't really, I think times change and I think that having alcohol is not the end of the world, and it's not going to be the type of thing where you can walk around with it either. So, that's a big component of it, is being able to walk around with alcohol, getting something to go. And I don't think they're going to do that, especially in Disneyland.
Anything there is going to really be able to get you wasted either without effort. I think that's the other thing is I doubt any drink's going to have more than 5% alcohol content, alcohol by volume, whatever, like a beer, but
it might not. It's still the principle though. Yeah. There's no reason. This is the fact that they're serving alcohol in there. Every single Disney site out there that is willing to actually be a little harsh on Disney has put the points together in that alcohol is one of the biggest money makers in Disney parks because they can do it on the cheap and they can make a huge profit off of it because the drinks that they're serving you for $15 a pop are probably only costing them around 50 cents to actually make when you break down the ingredients, because they're not they're not making a good Scotch drink with a good single malt that's $100 a bottle. They're using a $20 bottle that's for a giant liter, and then they're giving you a shy pour on that too if they're doing anything in that regards. And yes, they do have top shelf stuff around, but if you watch, they're not making these drinks all the time with top shelf, and so but they're charging you like they should be on
prices,
it. Yeah, and that's what I don't like. Yeah. So it's all for a money grab. Let the place just be dry for the sake of being dry. Come up with cool, interesting merchandise, and then at the same time too, there's that if you can't have this experience at Disneyland's Galaxy's Edge, okay, well now I want to go over and see Walt Disney World's, so it also has something unique and different to experience there.
Well, I just feel like, to go along with that, if you were going to if they are going to have all this entertainment like we're talking about, that is just going to be going around the bar and you're going to be able to sit there and just watch things unfold, honestly, as a business, you want to have some reason for people to be buying things while they're watching these shows. And if you're just going to have like a bite to eat and, try, I don't know, some blue milk or whatever, they're not going to be making any money on all this entertainment that they're paying for. And so I could see them, it's like ESPN Zone used to have like a rule where if you were sitting there watching a game, you had to buy something every hour. And I wonder if they would enact something like that here, because they're not going to want people to just sit around not purchasing things.
Like squatters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Air conditioning.
They're going to have to in the beginning.
that one drink the entire afternoon.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
they're going to try and keep the capacity down inside, so it's going to be a line to get into Star Wars Galaxies Edge, a line to get into the Cantina, and then once you're in the Cantina, you're going to feel a little rush. That's just how it's going to be in the beginning,
Yep.
But I'm sure they've got a plan, and so my thing is, like, and Craig mentioned this on the Tuesday Disney World show last week, is the vessels are what I'm interested in. Like, I enjoy collectible mugs and things like that. And I think they can't really be like, here's your Darth Vader cup, here's your Millennium Falcon mug. Like, it's got to be, because if we're supposed to be within the universe, like, it's not going to be like, I don't know.
It's not going to be so iconic. It's going to be something.
Yeah.
It's going to be something that would come from that.
Yeah.
From that planet.
Exactly.
It's called.
I swear, if they do Darth
Look at the designs for Trader Sam's.
Okay, well, we've talked about the Cantina thing a lot, and I feel like we could talk about it a lot longer, but, I want to keep moving on through stuff, like, because I'm sure we got a long time. We got almost a whole year to keep talking about it before it even opens in Disneyland, or 9 months. I don't know. There's no specific date, just summer 2019. That could be until September 21st.
I feel like
if
they have
wanted.
to do it, like, before D23.
Well, D23 is
Right?
late August.
Yes.
Like, they have to. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so it could be the end of the summer, not the real summer.
Unless they do like a sneak peek, like preview for the people at like a certain thing, how they did like Fantasmic last year.
They might.
If they.
Okay, so we're going to move on from that. And like I said in the opening, I just want to briefly, because we've actually been recording a little bit longer than I thought we were going to, I just want to talk about the closing of Bugs Land. What was sad? But I am a little sad to see this area go. For those of you who do not know, the Bugs Land is an area of, or was, excuse me, rest in peace, was an area of Disney California Adventure, where it was fully themed. You went in, you shrunk down to the size of a bug, and you got to kind of experience a bunch of what I would say are, how do you describe the type of attractions they are?
It's off-the-shelf
Yeah.
attractions. This was, if I remember correctly, and I'm sure Nancy will definitely pipe up, but, I only half pay attention to Michael sometimes on Connecting with Walt. But this was Disney California Adventures. This was kind of their first expansion. It's tough to be a bug opened with the park, but then they added all these little carnival attractions as part of Flick's Fun Fair, if I remember correctly, and then it all just melded into a Bugs Land. And so you had It's Tough to Be a Bug with the carnival rides.
Nancy, do you want to talk about it?
There was a huge complaint when California Adventure first opened the first year or so that there was really nothing for young children. And they tried adding Flick's Fun Fair to the Bounteous Harvest area, which honored the center of the state where most of our produce comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a few things, but not enough. And there were no really small child attractions. And we had very small children, and the girls were tiny at that point. And it really made a big difference for us as a family when they added it with the water features and activities. The, Heimlich's choo-choo train was the best. They always asked to go on Heimlich. Flick's Fun Flyers, I could take those or leave them. Francis's.
Well, hold on a second, guys.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about it real quick. Like nobody's ever been there. So there are several attractions in this area. We have come to a determination that we consider them to be 5 and one that kind of closed after a while, which was, you mentioned, Nancy, the original attraction, A Tough to Be a Bug, right?
Right.
When did Tough to Be a Bug stop operating over there? Was that
It was a couple months ago.
Oh, okay, so it was a recent stop.
Well,
then.
for people that don't know, a lot of times they would do like movie previews and things in that theater. So It's Tough to Be a Bug wasn't always operating, but up to the lead up of the close of that whole theater, they were definitely doing It's Tough to Be a Bug again. So
okay, cool.
It's been a couple months, but
It was March.
Yeah,
it was very, very long time ago.
Okay, I knew they were doing
Longer.
the previews. That theater used to be not Captain EO. Something, wasn't there a Muppet theater in that park somewhere once? I don't know. That's irrelevant.
Yeah,
That's
that
another
was
topic.
Back in Hollywoodland.
Okay, I get them mixed up sometimes. So, okay, well then let's talk about the individual attractions that existed in Bugs Land. So we had Flix Flyers. Does somebody want to talk about Flix Flyers? Nancy?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll go for it. Imagine Chinese food boxes, animal cracker boxes, all
Animal
suspended
crackers in
and
my
created by bugs to be little. Think of them as little things that hang off the bottoms of balloons. So they've got little wing. Do they have little wings on top, or just a little? There's
like
a
a
little
balloon.
cover.
it's like
it's like a balloon.
Yeah, it's a spoke.
Raises up, spins, angles, tilts, and then goes back down.
Yeah, it's a simple. I don't know if you classify it as the same type of ride as like Dumbo, but it's basically the get in your cart, be
Similar.
brought up, spin around in a circle, be brought down.
Yeah.
You know.
And this is actually the ride that's going to be turned into the Inside Out ride and brought over to Pixar Pier.
Yes. Yeah. So kids will still have the opportunity to have or there'll be a family, attraction aimed at younger kids in the park still, which is great. So, and then I know everybody's favorite attraction over there, and the one that was like heartbreaking, was Heimlich's Choo Choo Train. Katrina, I know you love this one.
I do. I want to take it.
Yeah.
I am really sad to see this go. So it's a little choo-choo train, and Heimlich takes you on a little stroll through his little, I feel like eating garden. Like there's, you go through animal crackers, and you smell animal crackers as you go through, and you pass through a watermelon that he's eaten, and it smells like watermelon, and sorry, and he. I miss it so much. I'm starting to get sad. Anyway, and then you see candy, and he just kind of takes you through a little train. It's I want to say 30 seconds long. It's not very long.
Yes, it's really short.
But it's just, I thought it was really, really awesome to go on, kind of relaxing because it's all shaded. And then for little kids, I feel like if I was a little kid, I would want to ride this all the time because, it kind of reminds me of Casey Jr., the circus train. It's similar, but it's a little shorter. But he's a cute little choo-choo train.
Yeah,
and he speaks in a cute little German accent the whole time.
I did it on my most recent trip.
And
finally,
he narrates his food.
Yeah, and he narrates as he eats, and he calls it all out in funny words. And the best part is the candy corn, which there is a nod because they didn't want to get rid of all references to Heimlich in the Pixar Pier area. They have one of the games over there is throwing the candy corn into is it into Heimlich's mouth?
Yeah.
Yes, but it's really hard.
Yeah.
And you know what? They actually got rid of the candy corn bean bags, and now it's just baseballs.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, Craig, you and Kylie got to ride this on your last trip, right? To say goodbye to your favorite caterpillar?
Yeah, no, this was the person who I think loved this more than anyone else was Corey Martin. He had a fascination. So my first trip out with him in 2013, that's when I discovered Heimlich's Choo Choo. That was my first time ever in California Adventure anyway. So it was the first time I could discover it, but I've loved it ever since then. But I wanted to ask the Disneyland side, was this always kind of like a cult classic ride, or because I know people on our coast didn't really even learn about it until the Taco Bell girl did her meme where she's like, I'm in a Disney attraction.
Why do I look like this ride? Yeah.
I don't think it was immediately,
cult.
but it definitely has been for a very long time.
Okay.
Well,
For parents, cult. Cult.
Yeah, that's the thing. No, it is a weird. Like I wrote it so far along into its life that I was just like, what is, like, it's cute, but I was like, what is the big deal? But I mean, it's funny, but I guess it's one of those things, one of those California.
Well, the nice thing about it is it never had a line either. It was like always 5-minute lines. So it was like, oh, what do you want to do? We can go on Heimlich. And it always brought a smile to my face, like, especially when he's just like, I'm a cute little choo-choo train, like just things like that. And you're just like,
Oh,
okay,
there's a fork in the road.
Yeah, and we do have I believe we have a ride through of this from a couple years back, right? Didn't you do one?
Yeah, we have a couple. I threw up a crappy one I shot on my phone the last time I was out there, just to do that, and that's youtube.com/wdwinfo, and then the more entertaining one is from youtube.com/DIS Unplugged of
Corey's riding it with
Corey,
you,
myself,
right? Yeah,
and Will.
okay.
All right,
Yeah.
Heimlichs, and you just got to watch for the reactions of it.
Yeah. So there's that, and then there was Francis's Ladybug Boogie. Tyler, do you want to talk about this?
This one is a spinning ride that is. It looks like teacups when you first look at it, but it's not the teacups because you cannot spin yourself. And it's actually kind of a prototype of the Alien Swirling Saucers and Mater's Junkyard Jamboree.
Yeah.
If you look at it, it's the same ride operation as those rides. It just spins you around rather than whips you. So it's very similar to those rides.
Yeah.
And they play different music every time you go on it. That's a decent ride for what it is.
Yeah, and then there was Princess Dot's Puddle Park, or Princess Dot Puddle Park, and that area. I always thought that area looked really cool because it was like a big hose, like spigot, kind of coming out of the ground, and like for kids like. Well, not for kids, for anybody that was like really hot, you could go over there and get splashed, and stuff. And I think that's kind of the one that I'll almost be like, where will everybody go get wet now besides the River Rapid ride? But and then finally there was essentially the bumper cars of this area, the Tuck and Rolls Drive 'em buggies.
You can't just say they were just bumper cars.
They weren't just bumper cars.
Were the worst bumper cars you could ever possibly imagine anywhere. I didn't do
Very
this.
slow.
Yeah, I did this with Tyler and Katrina for the first time. I don't know what motivated us. I think it was right after I had a chimichanga and I was riding that high. But we went over and experienced it. And the reason I never did it was because it always looked so slow paced from watching from the outside. And then once you're behind one of those cars, they were so freaking slow and you couldn't even bump people. So it made no sense as bumper cars, but it was fun. It still is something different to do. And
actually, if you want to see a picture of... Go ahead, Nancy.
Oh, no, I was going to say, it was bumper cars without any of the liability.
Yeah, right.
Really.
It was tweaked for insurance.
But if you want to see a picture of Craig and I on the Tuck and Roll bumper buggies, whatever they call them, you can join us on Patreon and check that out because I just put a picture up the other day.
Oh.
So.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yes.
Craig looks so uncomfortable in that picture too. I'll have to tell you. He didn't have a little leg room in there.
Yeah, you were a very tall man, and that is a very small buggy.
Yes. And I think it was right after a chimichanga, if I can remember correctly.
And plus, there was no line, and I kept like nagging you. Probably, I'm like, "Come on, you have to."
It does not sound like you, Katrina. Not at all.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
I was giving you a compliment.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was trying to find the actual announcement of the Marvel expansion area, and for some reason I can only find two really annoyingly worded articles about it. Because so for people that don't know, Bugsland being closed now is making way for a Marvel themed area that will probably not have Marvel in the title because I don't think they can. But it's going to kind of expand on Guardians of the Galaxy taking over Tower of Terror, which we all know I love Guardians of the Galaxy. But let me see if I can find it really quick. But
There's not me to send it to you.
There's a lot of yeah. Well, there's not a lot of details specifically about what it is. We're kind of assuming what it's going to be. They've mentioned some stuff. There was like posters that came out. My guess is they're bringing the Iron Man attraction from Hong Kong Disneyland and putting that over here. Like when they said that, I was like, yeah, Disney already has a Marvel themed attraction somewhere in the world. Why wouldn't they be using this? But I am excited to see what it brings. I know there are parents out there, Nancy, like you said, like it kind of removes that younger kid area, you know. So what are your thoughts on Bugs Land leaving and Marvel taking over?
Movies kind of had its heyday and moved on. It was one of the movies that never stayed as a classic, so keeping it around is kind of touch and feel. And it was everything off the shelf, which was never a big, how do I want to put it? It was never a big experience. If you have little kids, they still... they could go on the on Flix flyers, but they could never see out of the box because the seats were down low enough and the walls of the box were too high. And I don't know. I'm kind of glad to see it gone a little bit because they could really use that area and develop it for newer properties like Marvel. They've got the Little Mermaid, which they didn't have when they built Bugs Land. So, you know, you got a few good things about it that's left in the park. And I'm saying I'm like a crazy person. Okay, so I think with Marvel, they've got a lot of room to grow. Mm-hmm. And depending on how they build the attractions and how they build the meet and greets, right now Captain America is kind of in a weird little spot, and it'll be nice to put him more in context as opposed to just making it like a Hollywood backdrop.
Yeah.
So,
well, for those who don't know, the Marvel characters do meet and greets at Disney California Adventure. You've got right now it's Spider-Man, Captain America, Black Widow, the Dora Milaje, and then I know Thor and Loki were coming out. I've heard that they're not coming out anymore. The same with Doctor Strange was out sometimes. Black Widow. That they're
Black Panther too.
Black Panther.
Black Panther.
yeah.
But yeah, so Craig sent me the official the Disney Parks blog announcement. So it said at the Disneyland Resort, the new superhero themed land will begin recruiting guests in 2020. So we got 2 years, with even more experiences to follow. So it sounds like we're going to get one experience and then they're just going to keep adding. But the Guardians of the Galaxy will be joined by Spider-Man and the Avengers in what will become a completely immersive superhero universe, furthering the evolution of Disney California Adventure Park. The new land will be anchored by the popular Guardians of the Galaxy mission Breakout in the adjacent space that is occupied by Bugs Land. Sorry. And this does say Tough to Be a Bug closed March 19th. So we know it's got Spider-Man and whoever the Avengers are that they determine and stuff like that. So that is exciting. I am excited for the Marvel stuff.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be post-Infinity, post-Avengers 4 storyline.
Oh, that's a really good point too. So we don't even know what's going to occupy. I mean, we know Spider-Man because we know Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man Homecoming, Far From Home or whatever it's called, is coming out next summer after the fourth Avengers movie, which is supposed to reshape what the Marvel franchise looks like going forward. So whatever they build, like you said, Nancy, I'm sure will exist post Avengers 4. But
I think ultimately what is, and I don't have kids right now, so I can't really speak on that behalf, but let's be honest, when before California Adventure was around and everyone thought that Westcott was coming out there, like that was what it seemed like people wanted at the time. They wanted that Epcot style park out there. Epcot is, for the most part, it is not a kid friendly park. We can talk about that in terms of concepts or even the current offerings. There are some scattered throughout. But with where Disney's going with California Adventure now, taking away Ariel's character dining to have all lamplight lounge, getting rid of the majority of everything in A Bug's Land, keeping one ride, moving it over to Pixar Pier, you're eliminating most of that. It seems like they're getting ready to start their push of making California Adventure known as a park for your single adults without kids.
Yeah,
and going for that audience in a full-fledged, still having a couple things for kids, for annual pass holders, families who do want to check out the park, but reshifting the focus of what the park is for the most part.
Yeah, it seems like it's.
I don't necessarily.
They do
agree
have
with
Food and
that.
Wine Festival.
Okay, so
They do.
I do agree with Craig, though. It does give me that vibe where it's still going to be completely family-oriented. However, it's going to skew toward the older side of the family, the spectrum of, like, children. You know, like, your 4 or 5-year-olds might get too scared. But, you know, the beauty of Marvel is, like, it appeals to everybody. But, however, you know, it is, I would argue, a teenager property forward to be, like, completely understood. But, you know, little kids dress up like characters. They're going to still want to go there and see the kids, you know, see the kids,
Can
see
you
the
say
characters.
Junior Avengers Training Academy?
Yeah, that would be cool too. And I do know that there are plans
There was
for
an
Young
entire
Avengers.
comic
So
book on Junior Adventures.
yeah, so I would like to see it. Me being selfish though, I do hope it skews more on the Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout side, where it's a little more mature oriented. But only time will tell, and I'm sure we'll get more details eventually because they'll want to start releasing some of that to coincide with like Star Wars to be like, look, we've still got stuff. But you know, we've talked a long time about all that stuff. But I want to thank you guys for joining us today to have that discussion. Thank you, Craig, for being on camera for once, you know, out for this show instead of just being a voice that comes in the background. Thank you, Nancy, for taking time out to join us again. And Tyler and Katrina, well, this is your job.
I know. Don't forget to watch that Bugs Life video on YouTube.
Yes, that's right. That was, yeah.
I want to give it a push.
Yes, there is they've done a goodbye video on youtube.com/DIS Unplugged where you can watch that video. The video that Craig talked about, I'm sure Tyler will put it all in the show notes page. But that will do it for this episode of the Disneyland edition of the DIS Unplugged. We will see you again next week with another episode. Until then, have a great week, everybody. Bye.